What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about how Ghost of Tsushima 2 seems all but locked and loaded in, honestly. So, we got over the weekend, this comes from German Strands over on Twitter. Seems like a really nice guy. I've been following him, I think, for quite a while. He posts some pretty helpful tidbits sometimes on the PlayStation world that we all so much love. But he posted a tweet that said, recent job listings by Sucker Punch Productions. And then he does parentheses, Ghost of Tsushima 2, requirements for a combat designer: must have played Ghost of Tsushima and understand its core combat systems. And then he does the link to it, which goes to, if you want to be a combat designer for Sucker Punch, here's the link for it. And it does say, design, okay, design combat designer, has all the responsibilities, and it has requirements. The first requirement on there, must have played Ghost of Tsushima and understand its core combat systems. And then 3 years of design, demonstrate ability to prototype and iterate quickly, so on, so on, so on. So here's the deal. I mean, obviously, I feel like it's all but kind of, it is common knowledge. I think it's all but confirmed that, like, the next game they're doing is Ghost of Tsushima 2. There's no way, truly, on this earth, that you would be hiring for a game that isn't Ghost of Tsushima 2, and you're asking people to play Ghost of Tsushima. Like, how weird would that be? You know what I mean? Obviously, if you're making it so they had to play the first one, they had to very much understand how the first combat worked. Well, why would you be doing that? Well, it's because you're going to be working with that combat quite often when you're making the second game, and you're probably going to iterate, improve, add on things, all that kind of stuff. You're going to be doing that as well. So, not the biggest story in the world, not the longest story in the world, but this is kind of what we want, right? We all kind of want to Ghost of Tsushima 2. I mean, I adored Ghost of Tsushima. I think everybody kind of adored Ghost of Tsushima. It was a game that I think definitely put Sucker Punch back fully on the map. I know some people had always still considered them elite developers. I kind of didn't after Infamous Second Son. I kind of had dropped them into like a tier below it where it's like, okay, they have something to prove to me. At this point, I mean, things with like Naughty Dog and CD Projekt Red and stuff like that should make us kind of wary about any game, you know what I mean, where we shouldn't put 100% confidence in the game or developers. But for what it's worth, like a Ghost of Tsushima 2 seems very, very, very likely, and I think it's also kind of what everybody wants. The only thing I would add to that is I still really hope, and I do think this will eventually happen even if it hasn't, I do hope that they're eventually going to make Sucker Punch a 2-studio team where they can work on two things at once. Remember, that seems to be the plan from Sony. A lot of their teams are 2 development teams. You got to imagine they'd eventually maybe even want to get them to 3 development teams. But it seems like, at least as of right now, or at least when when Sucker Punch put out Ghost of Tsushima, it's one thing at a time. So I'd like to see them maybe dabble in a Sly Cooper thing. Maybe they can do a remake or a remaster. Maybe they can do a brand new game while also making a Ghost of Tsushima 2. We'll have to see how it all works, but I really hope eventually they're able to kind of expand and be an even bigger team. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much. And look, when Ghost of Tsushima came out, there was a lot of talk that that was going to be the next thing that they do, right? That would kind of be just it makes sense. Nothing really is kind of weird about it, right? That would just be the next thing that they kind of organically go into. It definitely much set up, and even in the lore, right? I talked about the lore of Tsushima, about the Mongol invasion, and remember, they actually invaded twice. This was the first invasion, and then they actually, it wasn't all very, accurate in terms of like the time, but there was actually a second Mongol invasion, I think like 10 or so years after the first one. So, I mean, even history gives us, and I know people have said like maybe they can go to like the mainlands and like, free them, or I mean, they could do more than just always have Mongols invading the island. We'll have to see what they do, but there's definitely room there to make a second game. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why you'd have a job posting for a designer for combat and then have, a requirement is you need to know how that game works because we're making a Sly Cooper game, or because we're making an Infamous game, or because we're making a game that has nothing to do with Ghost of Tsushima. You know what I mean? I mean, you wouldn't have them need to know the ins and outs of Ghost of Tsushima if you were just going to have them work on something that was completely unrelated. You know what I mean? So let me know, as always, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think this is kind of the final confirmation that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is happening? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And I do a brand new video every single day. And so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.